All right, it's 3 p.m. Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's panel discussion brought to you by HR Association of India. At HRAI, our mission is to create platforms that connect, inspire, and empower professionals through meaningful conversation and shared learning. On behalf of HRAI, I extend a warm welcome to all our participants to today's discussion on this insightful topic, the rise of the AI native employee, how a new generation of talent is reshaping the future of work. First and foremost, our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers for joining us today and contributing their valuable perspective to this panel discussion. Dr. Sanjeev Mathur, Head of PMO at Nokia, Ms. Purnima Srinivasan, Vice President HR at Tesla Grant Technologies, Mr. Daniel Jacob, ex-Vice President HR at EC Group International, Ms. Ritika Chandok, Head Brand and Corporate Communication at Hero Future Energies, and Ms. Amanpreet Kaur, Regional HR Director, AP Product Teams, Marketing and Integrated Operations at Lenovo. We are truly honored to have such accomplished leaders with us, bringing their expertise and experience to today's discussion. To know more about our speakers, you may follow them on LinkedIn. Their profiles have been shared in the chat window. For more information about HREI and our upcoming events, please refer to the links shared in the chat window. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's session, Ms. Manpreet Kaur, and invite her to take over as we move into this insightful and engaging discussion. Over to you.
Thank you, Faisal. Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to today's panel discussion around the rise of AI native employee, how a new generation of talent is reshaping the future of work. To kick things off, I want you to consider a fundamental shift happening in our organizations right now, and this is across industries. A few years ago, when we talked about AI in workplace, the primary question was, how can our organization adopt this technology? Today, the question has shifted entirely. The real conversation is, how do we manage, lead, and empower a workforce that defaults to AI to increase and enhance their productivity? This particular shift presents a massive opportunity, but it also creates crucial questions for leadership. How do we build cultures that foster collaboration between human judgment and intelligent machines? How do we bridge the gap between AI immigrant leaders, assuming they are not AI natives, and then connect them to the AI native talent workforce that they need to manage today? How do we ensure continuous learning when technology evolves every single month? We had Chat GPT, we have Copilot now, which is coming up in a big way. So every single month, you see big shifts happening when it comes to AI. Over the next 1 hour, our goal is not just to talk about the hype around AI, but to look at human, cultural, and strategic realities of leading this next generation of talent. To help us unpack this transformation, I'm really honored to be joined by a remarkable group of leaders who are on the front lines of this workforce evolution. My first question is to Dr. Sanjeev. We've transitioned from digital native to AI native. In your own words, what truly defines an AI native employee, sir? And how does their approach to problem solving differ from traditional professionals?
Thanks, ma'am. Thank you for having me here and setting the right pitch. So I think evolution is something which our generation has gone up at a very rapid pace. So like if you remember, I remember like I did my engineering in computer science, and I remember when we started, we were having PC 286. And today from PC to GPUs is what we are talking about. And in my professional life, I started with deployment of 2G network, and from 2G to 5G, and we are in advanced stage of setting up the this thing specifications for the 6G. So I think the evolution on the technology, evolution on the competence has happened at a very rapid pace. And this change is phenomenal, and keeping the pace with this change is really a task in its own. So the AI native is like I see that AI natives is also an evolution of analog to digital. Like we started on an analog world, and like we had our again my analogies are from the telecom, that we have the fixed line telephony analog mode to we have currently evolved on to these mobile phones. So AI native employee is not someone who merely use the AI tools, but somebody who thinks differently because AI exists. Because you need an ecosystem infrastructure which enables you to do that. And digital natives, I think, learned how to navigate information, because digital natives were fortunate that they got the internet, and then internet evolved into AI. So that big this thing, and then this enabled AI natives to learn how to orchestrate the intelligence, because that was one big piece where we have a lot of information, and we were really not struggling that how we can optimally use this data. So this big strength what the AI natives have is the orchestrate the intelligence, and then the entry barriers which were many for in the era of digital this thing, that even when we were doing the coding that time also you need very structured way of coding, very structured formats. And currently if we see that there are no entry barriers for using the AI, you just have to put plain simple language and you can get into you become an AI native employee. It was much difficult for a digital native. I'm not compare contrasting on both of them. I'm just putting up my experiences on this. So if I get into the next step is the problem solving approach, what we see. So traditionally, the professionals solve problems that what do they know or who can help them with these kind of aspect. Whereas if I see the AI native employees start with what can I find, what can I simulate, automate or augment. And this whole thing happen at a very rapid pace. This approach shifts from problem solving to iterative experimentation. It becomes much easy to fail fast, start again, get different modules, different simulators and kind of thing which we have currently, so that the things have become much faster. Instead of producing one single answer where we used to struggle, instead of analyzing one particular issue, there is so much time, there is so much effort goes into it. From there, now what we see in the AI native, it is the multiple possibilities which are there. The test assumptions are rapid, apply human judgment, and you can select the best plan. So the approach, the solutions, the way they are working is completely different. Now the data is already showing the shift. If I give a practical example of where we see our large corporates like TCS, Wipro, Infosys, and our mid-size IT company Coforge, Persistence, KPIT, and Emphasis. Like if we see for last 3-4 quarters, since we have the AI adoption, linking AI adoption and AI native, if we see that the evolution is much faster, the results are much faster in mid-size IT companies, because they are faster to adopt the AI culture, and the AI native employees, the migration to AI native employees was much faster in the mid-size company. And that has given results in terms of adding the number of customers, in terms of their revenues, while our large corporate houses were struggling because it was difficult to change the gear. But the mid-sized companies were faster, and we can see their results of last 2-3 quarters that they are really evolved big time with having more and more AI based use cases. The turnaround time has reduced, their adoption to the solutions is much more. So that's another this prospect on this. And then this learning velocity is another aspect, that the AI native employee can explore 10 scenarios simultaneously. They are not stick to one logic or one analysis. They explore 10 scenarios, get the results, do the iterative fashion, fine tuning their keep on fine tuning their prompts and the research criteria, and keep on getting the solutions. So in simple terms, I say that traditional professional used to ask, how do I solve this problem? AI native professional asks, how do I solve it, automate it, and make it smarter every time it is solved? So once you start, when the advantage with the AI adoption and AI native is that every time when you do an iteration, you are building up the machine learning into the system and your answers are getting fine tuned, your problem solving and resolutions are getting better and better. My key takeaway on this topic is that digital natives mastered information, AI native masters intelligence. And going forward, the winner will not be the humans or AI, it will be the humans who learn to amplify their potential through AI. So that's my submission on the take. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev. There were a few key pointers that you shared around continuous learning, experiment and fail fast. My next question is an extension of this thought, and this one is for Daniel. The prompt notes that this generation views AI as a natural extension of everyday work rather than just a tool. How does this mindset change the speed of innovation and decision making on the ground? What's your take on this, Daniel?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. And I remember about 10, 15 years, about 15 years before, speaking in a panel like this in Bangalore about digital natives and digital immigrants. And now we are talking about AI natives here. I'll take some example from our current scenario in the organization. I come from an IT industry, and as Mr. Sanjeev said, so we are in the forefront in experimenting so many things and also creating tools. And we are also mid-sized company, and we have, as Mr. Sanjeev said, have the freedom of trying out various things in the early stage itself. So who's a native employee? No, he gave a good explanation. I'll say two of our employees. One is with 21 years experience. Another one is with zero experience, who joined about 30 days before, straight from college. Both are native employees. The difference that we see from others in them is the difference is the way they think. The mindset is the entire difference. Okay. And as he compared so many points about an AI native employee, the difference literally what we could see is when we give something, both of them are able to produce results or multiple choice, different results within minutes. Okay. And everybody knows it is using they use different LLMs, different tools for solving different problems. The mindset. So previously, for example, if you want to do a POC, we will create a team and explain the need to the team and say, can you come up with the POC? And that's a process, at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks. There'll be reviews, multiple reviews, and so on. Now, give, and within 1 hour, they're able to come up with various different options for the same POC, and it is ready, that we can actually start taking decisions. So the base is the shift, how the shift is happening is the knowledge is democratized now. There's no one person is holding, I'm good and I'm talking some technical terms. Oh, I'm great in .NET technology. I'm great in Python and whatever their thing is. No, the knowledge is democratized. So in that basis, an AI native mindset is changed. So I know this is no longer a benefit for anybody. What can you do with what you know? So knowledge is democratized, but judgment plays a bigger role. That's what the difference I see in these two people. A person who just joined is able to produce all of that, but not able to make the right judgment, because the 20 years experienced person, because he worked in so many areas, he's able to take the right call on which tool to use, how to apply, and calculative risks and so on, which is what the big difference is. So across the line, so these are the two extremes of two employees. But the mindset, that big change that we are seeing is few mindsets. As a HR, coming into the HR view of this, I would say one thing that I said, that it is democratized. Knowledge is democratized, and that has a different view right now. Second thing is, AI native employees, they learn on the go. Previously, if we wanted to give them a POC, asking somebody to do a POC, what they'll do, so we look for people who have experience in that particular place. Oh, he'll be or she'll be the right person to do the POC and so on. Now it is not like that. We give them a problem and they learn on the go. Both it happened, and amazingly, I've seen this happen with both these two employees that I've taken example of. At a 2 months experience and a 20-year experienced person, they go, okay, you're given this, okay, I can do this. How will you do this? Nobody knows, because they know they're going to be using multiple tools to make this happen. Okay, that's how it's going to be happening. So we need to be uh, accepting that the mindset has changed, because previously the two mindset, no, our mindset also. Oh, even though this person do not have experience, he or she is going to be bringing the solution. That's a no knowledge. Third thing that I managed, noticed is based on the previous learning, because they don't know how they're going to do, micromanagement will not work. Because if you ask them, can you give me the 10 steps? Oh, what will be the next step? What will happen next? What will happen? No, nobody knows, because they're going to be on the learn. Okay. So the entire mind shift is happened, that it is not the traditional way of process will work. Traditional way of learn first, then exhibit yours, then experiment all that is gone. Okay. It is about people who are having willingness to take the chance and use multiple tools, and the only work that they do is the correct orchestration. Okay, oh, okay, here to use this, here to use this, and take the right judgments. That's when we see a lot of synergy in using these two native employees from two different generations putting together, and the work happens like that. And no, we are seeing it literally. I'm heading the AI transformation journey in our organization right now in various activities. I see this magic happen day and day, no, every day. Yeah, that's why I'll respond.
Thank you, Daniel. Your core example was whether somebody has, years of experience behind them, or somebody who's a new employee. They can both be AI natives. So my next question
Absolutely.
is to Ritika. When employees intuitively offload cognitive tasks to AI, where do we draw the line between leveraging technology and maintaining critical, independent human judgment, along with the benefits that experience brings to the fore?
Yeah, thanks, Amanpreet, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here for this interesting topic. It's amazing how quickly we have moved from talking about digital natives to AI natives. And to me, I mean, it's just like yesterday we were talking about digital natives. And to me, the difference is, very simple. It's digital natives know how to work with AI, and AI natives know how to work, I mean, without any efforts, they know how to use AI for their advantage. And I don't think it has anything to do with any particular generation or any age. It's basically, I've seen people across all generations, around me, family and friends and office, who embrace AI with incredible ease. So being AI native is really about the mindset. And AI native automatically turns to AI, like I said, as a thought partner, and not just a regular search engine or another productivity tool. So they use AI to augment their own intelligence and not kind of replace it. So, in my own role, which is communications, branding, and marketing things, so AI has become really a part of my everyday workflow. So, whether it is researching an emerging issue, or maybe analyzing any stakeholder sentiment, employee engagement, or maybe drafting a first version of communication, or simply helping me think through different perspectives of a campaign. So it saves me significant time, but that really won't mean that I use the output just as it is. So the real value actually comes from applying the context, business understanding, and judgment. And that's actually what AI is not able to replace. So, I mean, that's the difference for me, really. And on your question specifically, I think I would like to think AI as an, exceptional intern, but not a decision maker at all. So AI is fantastic for, eliminating the repetitive work, or maybe summarizing information, analyzing large volumes of data, or giving you a solid first draft. So that really offloads us to, all the employees to focus on the work that really requires human intelligence, human capabilities. But the line, is crossed when it's crossed the moment we stop questioning the output. Because, I mean, I've seen people just started using it as is. So I'll give you an example. I learned this firsthand in my previous roles, one of the previous organizations. So similar role, we would often, deal with sensitive announcements, which we still do, crisis situations, crisis communications, and a lot of time responses to media queries, which are sometimes we are really hard pressed on time. AI really helps me structure a press release or draft holding statements in minutes, but it had really happened. It had no understanding of the organizational context, the regulatory environment, or the reputational implications of a particular word that we used in that press release. I would not like to kind of talk about it. A phrase that looked perfectly acceptable on screen, could really created a lot of confusion that time, or I'd say unnecessary concern amongst the stakeholders. So that was my learning from it. And but those nuances still required human judgment. And there were also times when AI confidently summarized media coverage, or comparator activity, but it missed the real sentiment behind the headlines, or failed to really differentiate between the credible reporting and the speculation, which happens a lot of times. So if we had, at that time accepted the output at face value of AI, it could have, really led us the wrong communication strategy. And it applies same for me today. So whether we are communicating with investors or governments, or maybe employees, customers, any stakeholders, communities now. So I think accuracy and trust are completely non-negotiable for me. AI can give me speed, but people have to provide the context, empathy, and accountability to it. So I have made it my rule that let AI do the heavy lifting, but let humans own the thinking, the ethics, and the final decision, because we know the organization or our job or our roles more than what we feed into AI. So we do not kind of outsource the judgment. We should outsource the efforts. Like I said, the heavy lifting. Yeah, that's my take on this.
Thank you, Ritika. So we've actually delved into what AI means in different industries across different functions, right? And all of us are certain about one thing. Much like Google, AI is not going anywhere. The sooner organizations are able to adopt and adapt, it would go a long way to build long term sustainability and success. So we'll now spend some time to deep dive into organizational shifts that are needed to support AI native or AI transitioning talent, as we call it, right? My first question in this section is for Daniel. Daniel, command and control leadership doesn't really work well with autonomous, tech empowered talent. How do you think leadership styles should evolve to manage employees who might be getting their strategic insights or data analysis directly from AI?
Yes, definitely. See, as I mentioned in the previous answer, the mindset has changed. Okay. When the new employee comes, it changes. What the other new thing that we are seeing is when other employees start seeing the new employees behave, then the native employees behave, and it is very contagious. It's actually everybody started to easily get it because they see the value. And oh, okay, yeah. Oh, it is not 1 week work. It's actually 1 hour work. It's not that no, I have to spend hours together on this. No, my time should be going here and there. No, and it is actually doing it. And of course, all the learning and development activities we do, we're trying to bridge that gap between the others and native employees, because that's how the industry is moving. You have to do it. Previously, you go to the client and say that no, we'll do a proof of concept for you in 6 months. No, nowadays they don't. They're not interested. We have to turn around it in days or weeks. That's how we are standing. So when the industry is demanding that, when the employees are evolving, if we as leaders do not evolve, then there'll be a gap. Definitely there'll be a gap. Okay. And that's how I will see that change should be happen. Or it is not whether we can do or not, we must change, is what I would say. Because uh, when they are able to process it in hours, and if we take days to take decision, then it doesn't suit well. Because as Mr. Sanjeev said, the time between the gap between the experimentation and the implementation has actually totally reduced. It is reduced now. Okay, I cannot keep on experimenting. I want to implement, and they come up with all the possibilities. So uh, our mind shift, the changes, I would say now, how practically how we are seeing here is the mind shift. How would we should change is that the gap between where we are now starting and where we are trying to implement, it is reducing. So we need to change that. All the 100 policies in our company, we have 100 plus policies, all the 100 plus policies, the procedure, standard operating procedure, and the steps that we need to follow. All that, if we wanted to put this into that, what they call the putting the new wine into the old skin. No, it will not hold. So we have to be very fast in changing how the process we are changing. I think that is what I would say the main important thing. We need to change in our mind first as leaders, and also we need to change in the leaders and also as organization, and also the processes. Okay, it cannot take that longer. Okay, previously, now of course, now all of us are doing. Now when vendors are submitting their RSP or whatever, previously we used to go days, we used to take days to process it. Now it is not like that. Put everything in an LLM and gives comparison, and it does much more better job. But where we are adding value is at the top level. Oh, okay, comparison. Is this comparison good or not? Is it good or now? Where can we go take risk here or there? That is up. The same way we need to also work with the employees. Where to take risk, where to allow them to use more, where to allow them to do less, how to frame your AI policy. That's what now based on that we framed a AI usage policy for the entire organization. That kind of gives the framework where where can it be used, what kind of information can be shared with the LLMs, what kind of, so that is where I think the leadership stands now. It is not about what to do, what not to do. It is about creating the boundaries, within the boundaries where now they can experiment more and come the bring the best solutions, is what my biggest learning. And I think what I am seeing is the big uh, change that we need to see is the leaders are now learning more than the team, because otherwise they are looked to know, oh, you don't know this, no, oh, this is how we have done it, and they're looking outdated. So I think the leaders are putting more efforts now, which is a good change, I would say. I think that's where everywhere it's going. And also the gap between the technology people and the operations people are changing. Now our team, HR team, vibe coded our own product and our employees are using that. Now our team developed our own R&R application, LMS and all that. We vibe coded ourselves and we hosted it at zero cost, and it's being used. So it is democratized again. The gap between the technology people and non-technology people is reduced. So we as leaders get to there to speak their language. Otherwise, we'll become also obsolete.
Thank you, Daniel. You spoke a little bit about change of policies, right? After change of mindset. All of these are critical elements of organization culture. So, my next question then is to Sanjeev. How do we build a workplace culture that encourages experimentation with AI while maintaining guardrails around data privacy, ethics, psychological safety, and employee well being?
Thanks. I think the right tone is said by Daniel when he say the reverse mentoring should be norm of the culture, where HR is participating in generating the AI-based codes and other things. So I think that is the culture change what we are talking about. But in the core of this culture change, I believe is not the culture. It's not the technology side. I'm sorry. The change is not the technology, but it's a Gen Z thing. So the culture change has to be in line with what the Gen Z accepts. Like it has to be more free, open to experiment, like open to experiment. You, if even if you do a mistake, like it should be acknowledged and accepted, and it should not be taboo to do a mistake. it has to be a very open, free culture. And that is what is needed, that we experiment more and more. And a culture should be safe to experiment, because that is what led to more of AI adoption, because there are no fixed rules and no fixed solutions. It all is in the evolution phase. And evolution is the most difficult phase, because that sets the direction of any initiative, any effort. So it has to be free, and a free hand to be given to the individuals, that they can experiment and keep on forward. The most effective, I think the most effective approach is to have three things. First is to have the psychological safety, that they should feel safe in trying the things. Like we keep that token restriction, so free usage of tokens is one thing. And then even if it led to some failure, there should not be they should not be judged much. Like it has happened because we have to keep on evolving. And some of the best automation and AI idea emerged when teams openly discuss that what didn't work, because it will not be, because the way at the scale at which we are working now and at the pace which we are expecting, the mistakes will happen. So the culture has to be that failures are discussed, accepted, and move forward. Like it should not be big issue around it. Second, the clear guardrails, that is important, that we encourage the use of approved enterprise AI tools, because this whatever is going in, because you have to give lot of insights to the AI tools which we are using. So it's very important that we have to be very explicit about the data privacy, customer confidentiality, ethical use of the things. And then most important is the respect to the IPRs, that it should not come at the cost of trust, and IPR be prevented, project and protected. So this clear guardrail, as Amarpreet said, that is very important. And third is visible leadership sponsor. Like this reverse mentoring itself give so much open culture and acceptance to the things. When a junior guy sit with the CXOs and they talk about the new trends, Gen Z terms, and host of other things, I think that is one of the easiest thing where the leadership can showcase that we are for it. So these are the key two, three things which I see that can help to create the things. And most important thing is that I, like my background is from PMO. So we believe that what is measured, that is achieved. So it's very important when we talk about culture that we should have a culture scorecard in place. So towards that, like first of my pointer is about the, are people really using the AI? So that is in terms of percentage employees actively using approved AI tools, number of AI enabled workflows, AI training completion rate. So some kind of these metrics set the tone that how much and what all we are doing. Experimentation is another aspect, that are people trying new things. So number of AI use cases being generated or submitted, AI hackathons, innovation challenges and pilot conducted, and number of ideas which are scaled from proof of concept to production, and at what pace, how much time we are saying on all these things. Third is the business impact. Is AI creating value? Because that is the first and foremost thing, that how much hours we are saved through automation, reduction in cycle time, improvement in quality or productivity, cost saving and customer impact. So this is one area where we are struggling, that while we are becoming more productive, but in terms of resource saving, that's an they're building up a correlation between that, what effort we have saved, is it resulting into the resource saving? So that's one area where we need to explore more and work upon more. Then trust on psychological safety. This, do employee really feel safe about with experimenting with the AI? That more and more they should experiment and try things on this. And then responsible AI, that data privacy, incident related to AI, compliance violation, percentage uses through approved enterprise AI platforms, responsible AI training completion. So these are the things. And one which we have most recently introduced is the learning velocity. So are we getting smarter? That the number of prompts or use cases which are shared or used internally, reuse of successful AI solutions, like once we build something, then how much we are. So this massification and scalability of the solution is the learning velocity parameter, and communities of practicing participation and cross-team knowledge sharing. So this learning velocity, which will help to multiply the AI culture, and we see that more and more progressive on this problem. The ultimately culture is created when curiosity is rewarded, learning is celebrated, and responsible use is expected. So that will become the foundation for AI culture. So this is it from my side. Thanks.
Thank you. My next question then is to Ritika. We spoke about bringing in measures. So this question is, what specific digital capabilities around AI should organizations be looking for when hiring or developing talent?
So, Amanpreet, a very simple and very popular and straightforward answer to this would be, prompt engineering. And I'd say yes, it is a very useful skill. But honestly, I think it's probably the easiest one to learn. AI itself will teach you how to, give the best prompt. So that is not rocket science. So, but honestly, what I am looking for when I'm hiring, I think the skills that even AI can't easily replicate. So, like Sanjeev just mentioned, I think the first one for me is curiosity. People who ask, a lot of questions, explore possibilities, and are willing to experiment with the new ways of working. They'll always stay ahead. So that's number one for me, more than the prompt engineering that we can easily learn. And the second one is critical thinking. And just because AI give you an answer, it doesn't mean that it's the right answer. So, I would want people that I hire to validate information, challenge LLM's own assumptions, and also apply a lot of business context that only you would know into before acting, on the response. And the third one would be adaptability, also mentioned by Sanjeev. So AI is, evolving almost every week. I'd say every day now. So if you're waiting to master one tool before learning the next, that okay, today I learn this, tomorrow I learn this, I think you'll always be behind. So that will never happen. So the willingness to continuously learn has become a comparative advantage in itself, and that's something that we humans can do the best. And then there are two capabilities I think, apart from these, that every organization should actively, develop. So one would be AI literacy, understanding not just what AI can do, but equally what it cannot. That's, I think, more important, which we are kind of forgetting. The other is, communication and collaboration. AI can generate a lot of content. It can create a content bank, but it can also analyze data and even make recommendations. That's fine, but it cannot still build trust. So it cannot also influence the stakeholders on our behalf or maybe inspire the teams. So as someone who's always into brand and comms, I think I've actually always found that empathy has become even more important in today's AI era. I think this is something that we are fortunate enough to have and apply. So technology can personalize a message always, and but it cannot genuinely understand how the message will be received, and how people will feel after receiving that message. So how organizations culture works, because for it every organization is similar, but the culture would be, and the diversity in the organization would be very different from each other, and how relationships are built over time. So if I was hiring today, I think I'd hire somebody um, just because not just because they're good at using AI, that will be criteria, but someone who knows when to trust AI, when to not trust it, when to question it, what to upload, what to not upload, and how to combine it with human judgment, empathy, and creativity, that I always say. And I think that's what will truly differentiate AI ready talent from the rest of them. Yeah.
Thank you, Ritika. My next question is to Purnima. We've spoken about what AI native talent is. We've spoken about organization policies. We've spoken about capabilities. How do we build a culture that is conducive for this kind of talent? But we may have individual superstars. How do you think we need to foster genuine collaboration between human talent, intelligent technologies amongst teams, ensuring that AI augments human creativity rather than replacing or shifting or breaking it?
Thank you, Aman. Good evening, everyone. So, if you're asking me how we can actually foster genuine collaboration between human and I think I'm going to resonate with Ritika here. So, basically, I guess it is AI can give you the data, AI can give you the analysis or patterns, but however, you need leaders or HR leaders to make the actual emotional or decision that has organizational context. So let me give you a simple example. Say if you are working on redesigning employee engagement frameworks for your organization, I mean, you can use AI to do all the analysis for you on all the anonymous pulse surveys or comments and attrition patterns, industry benchmarks, and in minutes you will be able to highlight what is the burnout risk. But you need a leader who can read this pattern, who can read this analysis and come up and interpret the emotional nuances that has caused this. And uh, from an organizational context and what fits the company culture, I think that is when you will be able to design, what is needed for the organization and how you can kind of create a hyper personalization experience for all employees, which a machine can never formulate. So, in my opinion, if you say, I think the first thing is you need to position AI as a partner and not as a final author. So AI can give you a baseline in seconds, but it's human judgment that turns the baseline into breakthrough. Okay, and second is you could create intentional friction in the workflows. Now, what is happening is with AI in place, I guess Daniel had mentioned earlier, it is we should not be kind of encouraging any kind of culture of lazy acceptance. The AI creates the data and there is nobody who's kind of checking it, because thinking that AI is always right is something that you need to break. Because once you go ahead with the first draft the AI is giving, it kills creativity of the entire team and in turn the organization. So you need to start rewarding for people who can find faults in AI reports. And yes, there are faults. There are always challenges which AI will kind of oversee, which can only the humans or the team will be able to find it. And then probably redefine the productivity for the entire team. Stop measuring productivity in terms of the hours. Probably start measuring productivity in terms of the problems they are solving or the depth and the velocity of the problems that are solved. Focus your performance metrics on how effectively people are able to frame questions and curate the AI insights and solve complex problems, instead of just saying you have this list of tasks and you need to kind of close it. Like, I mean, Daniel had mentioned earlier, saying start measuring what impact the team is actually creating, and how, instead of just answering the question saying how fast can you do this task using AI, go back and question saying what is the better workflow that you can create, to kind of achieve this. And I think last but not the least, I guess, is creating a psychological safety around AI. Like, we as HR leaders now deal with multi-generational workforce, and there is a thought, or there is this thought with the people who are not AI native, saying that, okay, this is a displacement of my job. I think as leaders, we need to give that free hand to people, saying, go ahead and experiment. And AI is just to eliminate human work and not to reduce headcount. So it is important that everybody knows how to use AI. And Sanjeev was mentioning about fail fast. I think we tried that in our organization and it worked out really beautifully, because it broke, I mean, it acted as an icebreaker to all the AI, fears that was there. And people started kind of using it and implementing it everywhere, which created a lot of, um, attitude towards the AI, thinking of it as a tool and not as a solution for whatever problems that is needed. So I guess, I mean, this is what are my thoughts on this, Aman.
Thank you, Purnima. Uh, we spoke about how organizations need to shift. And then I remember Daniel mentioning we must foster reverse mentorship. So, my next question is to you, Daniel. In many organizations, we have leaders who are what we call AI immigrants, right? And they are managing teams of AI natives, a generation that has grown with a lot of digital content, digital devices around them. How can organizations and businesses bridge these generational perspectives to reduce friction and foster reverse mentorship? Daniel, you're on mute, Daniel.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. See, as all of us, I think we mentioned, uh, I started my answer for the first question between native AI is not just the age group, it's about people how they see work and tools, started. But also beyond that, we're also dealing with Gen Z and know how they do it and all that. Okay. So what I've learned is um, they will change you. If you don't change, they'll change you. Because otherwise it will not work. It will not work. And it is no you you will have to see finding the survival of the fittest is not for them, it is for us actually. So we need to find the way how we will fit into what is necessary. And the demanding thing is it is not only they are demanding, it is the output, the outcome, the business is demanding, the customers are demanding that. Okay, so now we are in between and we have no other choice, I would say. Okay, and we'll have to see how really we will see the changes coming, staying in between without knowing where all it will go, and we'll have to really see where we will really find our space in doing it, and finding the dynamics between the collaboration of where we find it here and there and so on. See, what I'm actually coming to do is say is it is not what we wanting to do it or not wanting to do it. It is we are expected to do it. We have to see that the change is real, and we have to change bit for good. Okay, and I think has changed. I think so since COVID. Before COVID, if a webinar happened like this, I don't think that many people would have participated. So there was a big force that changed all of us. And ever since COVID happened, I think all of our mindsets have changed. No, anything new needs to come. Now, as somebody said, we started with ChatGPT, and now when a new tool comes, everybody wanting to experiment it. No, I'm sure if I ask you to raise your hand, how many of you using Claude or any other the latest tool that comes in Perplexity and so on, and we keep changing, and we know which question to go to Gemini, which Gemini AI, which one to go to Meta, which one to go for Claude and so on. I think our mind shift itself is changed. It is driven from outside, not inside. I would say that's why I took COVID example, and it is changing. I think we are changed for good. I think we are changed for good. We are also not experimenting anything for a longer period. Okay, and as we're talking about this, I'll also bring in one problem that we are now facing in a real time. What the change that the AI is changing that we need to also be prepared. What happens is, as I said, I'm coming from a software industry. Previously, people will take time to code, right? Now, code is being generated. We see employees just do their prompts and actually they're sitting like this because it's writing code. They're just watching, and sometimes, and they're generating a lot of codes. And the bottleneck is where they do the Q quality check, right? And now where to shift people, that is also challenging. So like us, day-to-day work, you ask somebody, a junior person, to come and do some experiment, they come and produce a 100-page document and give it to you. Now it is your responsibility to make sure it is right or wrong. Okay, and that's where actually we are. No, that's a changing again. We cannot go and say no, you cannot do that. Now we need to see how we need to shift or use any tools that is helping us to do that process improvement in those areas also, so that all the work that is the time that is saved, it is not consumed here. So if we don't change, then we'll become bottleneck. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. There is one question from the audience. This is from Shreya Mishra, and I open it to anybody who would want to answer. As AI native employees increasingly rely on AI for research, ideation, and execution, how can organizations ensure they continue to develop deep domain expertise? A lot of us who are here have built functional expertise over many, many decades, right? We say 20 years in HR, 15 years in marketing, 20 years in research or engineering department. So, how do we invest in deep domain expertise for our talent instead of becoming overly dependent on AI generated outputs? There's also this thought process that as AI becomes smarter, humans perhaps would end up becoming dumber. So, what's your take on this? And I open it out to the panelists, whoever wants to answer this.
I think I read it, and Shreya, that's a very valid concern. And I think every organization, I hear this thing almost once every day, whenever there's a discussion on AI. So I think very valid concern, and everybody is struggling with it. I don't think, in my personal opinion, that, AI makes people less knowledgeable, or like they're saying these days, totally dumb. But it really depends on how you use it. So if AI becomes a shortcut to avoid thinking, then yes, I mean, the expertise will suffer and the intelligence will suffer, human intelligence. But if AI becomes, just a catalyst for asking better question, if it's like provoking your thoughts, your ideation, and you exploring ideas faster, it actually helps people build expertise more quickly. So the key is that organizations must reward curiosity and critical thinking, and not just speed. So AI can generate answers in second, but domain expertise still built through experience, and the context and human judgment, like everybody has said. So, in fact, Shreya, I'll leave you with a thought, that AI can give you answers, but domain expertise helps you know which answer to trust. So, that's my take on this.
Thank you.
I
Okay,
will add my two
now,
cents once
Continuing
again for
on
the same
that.
question. See, when
sure.
when the Matrix movie came, and he'll be running towards a chopper, and he'll say, "No, go ride the chopper," and he'll say, "I don't know how to ride." Then he'll insert a chip, and then he'll know everything. Now he'll know how to ride a chopper, right? The same way, there are a lot of companies I think you would have also come across are working on industry domain specific LLMs in medical domain, within medical subdomains of this thing. They generate training LLMs in their particular domain. Okay. So it is no longer we training deep on the domain. It is about getting the right tool and training them to use the right tool and also judge correct. That is where I would see the differences. Because any LLM that we can talk about is at the PhD level of any topic that we can discuss. So then it is becoming very, very unnecessary to train everybody on the domain knowledge, which is can be the knowledge. I'm talking about knowledge. I'm talking about not talking about the wisdom. Okay, knowledge that is there already. But now we need to train our people to use those knowledge available in the right way in the domain or the particular project that they're working on. That's how I think the shift is happening in this space to answer to Shreya. Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 minutes to go, and I would probably now do a quick round table. And we'll start with a rapid fire. Each one of you can take turns. In 30 seconds or less, what has been the single biggest mistake organizations, in your experience, are making when trying to integrate AI native talent? What should all of us be more careful about?
So I'll go on this first.
Mhm. Sure.
So I guess one thing that all organizations are assuming is, the license first trap, basically, if you see, right? So people assume, or organizations are assuming, that you buy a Copilot license or you buy an AI license, and automatically all employees will be able to use it and generate results in minutes. But I think that is a big misconception, because as organization, it is very important to help employees learn AI, help employees learn. They would know how to work on their own thing, but how to create impact at an org level is something that is on the organization and it is not on the employee. So just because you're taking licenses and just because you're providing AI, there has to be a proper training also that you give to the employees. So there is a new lingo now called BYO AI. It's, it used to happen in parties saying bring your own bottle, BYOB. Now it is bring your own AI, basically. How much of a knowledge you have on AI, right? You bring it to the organization, but from an organization level, there has to be a uniform training or a uniformed approach towards this, which is required. I think this is one mistake which organization would oversee. I mean, I would not call it a mistake, but it's an oversight.
Sure. Anybody else wants to add to this?
Yeah, so my input on this is that there is nothing wrong or mistake. I just say that it should be start small and it should be done in certain focus areas. It should not be done across. So I think that is the too focused approach and start small and gradually build upon as the initial results are there or success are there.
Okay. My last question for today is, if there is one piece of advice you want to share with the audience today on how to make their workplace truly future ready for the next generation, what would it be?
I think I'd say while adopting AI is critical, I mean, there's no way that organizations cannot adopt it, and they must. I think brands must focus on building a culture that encourages experimentation. I think that's very important. Technology is, like I said, changing quickly, and culture actually determines whether people actually use it or not. So maybe create an environment where people can safely, test new tools, decide on what works with them the best, like, I mean, which LLM and which mode, whether it should be a fusion or not, and share what works and, learn from their failures and continuously upskill. So I think that's what is more important. And that's my one piece of advice.
Yeah, take
Thank
this
I
you.
clue
think
from Ritika. I
open
would say,
fearless
no.
is my take is open fearless is are the things.
Open and fearless. Okay. Thank you. Um, Thank you so much. As we wrap up today's discussion, one clear truth has emerged, right? AI revolution in workplace isn't really a story about technology. And we are a generation that saw mobile phones, coming into foray after the handset devices, the wired phones, as we used to call them, to Google, to now Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, right? So it isn't really a story about technology because technology would keep evolving. It's really a story about people. We've heard today that rise of AI native employee isn't just about faster output or cooler tools. It's a fundamental shift in mindset, culture, and leadership. Embracing this new breed of talent requires all of us to learn and unlearn how we structure teams, how we measure their value. I see there's a question also on how would KRAs change, and this is a critical question or a problem statement that HR across industries is now grappling with. How do we foster a culture of continuous curiosity and psychological safety? How do we allow people to leverage AI, learn their lessons fast, fail fast, and then move on? So, for organizations that are looking to build a future ready workplace, the lessons are simple. Don't just ask what AI can do for your business, ask how you can create an environment where human creativity and intelligent technology elevate each other. When we choose understanding and overcome fear, empowering our workforce over rigid control, we don't just adapt to future of work, we actively shape it. A massive thank you to our distinguished panelists for sharing their valuable insights and experiences today, and to everybody in the audience for your time, engagement, and thoughtful questions. With that, back to you, Faisal.
Thank you. Thank you, Manpreet, for leading today's discussion with such energy and ease. Your thoughtful questions brought out valuable insights from the panelists. Thank you to all our esteemed panelists. Your perspective added tremendous value for today's discussion. For those eager to learn and grow, the recording of today's session is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. Thank you to all our participants for being part of this session. Your presence made the discussion even more meaningful. We look forward to welcoming you to our next session on the topic: Are we building AI ready companies or just buying AI tools? On August 13, 2026. With that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you for being part of this journey. Take care and farewell for now. Thank you, dear speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.